Hello, I'm Sally Ibbotson. I'm a Qigong teacher and a traditional Chinese medical practitioner. I have a presentation on sleep that I would like to offer you, um, covering practices which may enhance sleep. Sleep is one of the most important health-giving aspects of our lives on Earth. And I'm very keen that people know all the practices that can enhance sleep. So I'll share a presentation. Just make that a little bit bigger. Okay. So when we're talking about sleep, we are mainly speaking about brain changes, and brain waves can be so well measured now, because we have such sophisticated equipment so to do. Um, but basically, we can see that there are different kinds of brain waves, and we need to experience all of them in order to stay in the best possible health. So they are alpha, beta, theta, gamma, and delta waves, and they're connected with different states of consciousness. So not just sleeping, but different states of waking consciousness as well. And we can see that these brain waves and making sure that we get a good dose of all of them is key to understanding how our insights and awareness in the wakeful states are connected with sleep as well. So we start with alpha waves. These are experienced during meditation and deep relaxation. They promote creativity and they're slow. They promote healing of the body and restore our bodily systems, our organs, our muscles, our skeletal system, etc. When we sleep and we can feel that when we wake up, we've had a good sleep, we're refreshed, we're likely to have had a good dose of alpha brain waves. And scans show that alpha waves cause the two halves of the brain, the rational and the more creative parts, to communicate well. They're connected also to higher insight or awareness. So the reason for meditating changes from person to person, and some are seeking a spiritual life, and it would be alpha waves that are created in the meditative state. Beta waves are connected to normal waking consciousness, to analyzing and reasoning. So reading a book, for example, or just doing daily tasks. There is usually more than one region of the brain affected by beta waves, but an excess of beta waves, which we would probably call overthinking, is associated with fear, stress, and compulsive disorders. And beta waves increase as we get older. So as we get older, we really need to pay attention to alpha and theta waves and the processes and practices that help us get some of those. So theta waves are really interesting. They're slower than alpha waves. So remembering alpha waves is when you're deeply relaxed or in a meditative state. And we experience theta waves during REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. And we'll look at the stages of sleep in a minute. So this is when we dream and during very deep levels of meditating. So people who've been practicing meditation for years probably experience theta waves. And they're generated in the most creative part of the brain, the right hemisphere of the brain. They're associated with the time between wake and sleep, when vivid imagery can occur. We sometimes call that hypnagogics. So the relationship between the conscious mind and the unconscious or subconscious is intimately connected with theta waves. Theta waves help us to develop intuition. Einstein trained himself to be in a theta state, and it seems that most individuals can learn to enter a theta state. There are numerous health benefits. Increased immunity is one of them. Sorry, the slide is too big for the screen here, but it says that theta waves and the speed of them is the same as Tibetan practices such as Tibetan chanting and shamanic drumming. So the ancients knew, as usual, a lot. Delta waves are very slow and accessed in very deep sleep, not usually in meditation. Maybe one or two people attain delta waves in meditation, but they're associated with a deep and dreamless sleep and with healing and rejuvenation. Delta waves are thought to be the gateway to the collective unconscious. So it's when we are more intuitive and psychic almost, especially with events that are happening to all of us, to the world globally. And during delta sleeps, the delta state, sorry, there's a release of anti-aging hormones, melatonin, and small amounts of other helpful hormones which rejuvenate. So it's an anti-aging state, you could say. Gamma waves are very fast and are associated with high states of love or altruism. Not really particularly relevant to our sleep inquiry. So here are the stages of sleep. So the first one is light sleep. And this is where we can influence quality of sleep with our own relaxation and meditation practices. And we'll go on to talk about that a little later. And they enhance alpha waves. Then we go into NREM sleep. It's slower. This is where you see somebody, maybe their legs are jerking or their muscles suddenly twitch. So this is where the heart rate slows. So delta waves are interspersed with small, fast waves in the next stage. Between NREM and REM sleep, delta waves increase and blood pressure lowers further. And if you're awakened here, you would now feel really groggy because you're deep in sleep. And then REM sleep is where dreams occur, and this is a theta state. And this is where it's thought that the conscious mind gives over to the unconscious to solve problems. So in Chinese medicine, actually, this would be the state of where part of the soul that knows our full journey from birth to death comes in and gives us wisdom. So again, intimately connected with wisdom and intuition. So what do we need? It's said that we'll go into some detail, but it's that the average is 7 to 8 hours of mixed NREM and REM sleep. And the cycle is thought to repeat 4 times in a night. It's good to note that teenagers do indeed need more than that, 9 to 10 hours. And that's because of the link with sleep to the growth hormone, human growth hormone. And it's released during sleep. So it builds neural pathways and skin regeneration, and also bone health is associated with human growth hormone. Sorry. Okay, so as we get older, we need less NREM sleep. So we still need REM sleep, but again, we'll talk about that a bit later. So here we go, growth. So yeah, really important that teenagers, babies, children, teenagers get a really bad press of things, having to get up for school and do homework perhaps late into the night. In many countries now, it's recognized that they do actually need sleep in order to function. So that which might have been labeled as lazy is not actually, it's a human need. So sleep is linked to the release of growth hormones, a slow wave sleep. So the slow waves, the alpha and the theta, are connected with bone growth. And the endocrine system is significantly influenced by sleep. That's the lymph glands, etc., immunity, and neurological development, the brain and the neural pathways. And during rapid eye movement, that's the third stage of sleep, there's intense brain activity. So our memory consolidates. So we start, it's like our library sorts itself out and we form appropriate neural connections. So interestingly, there is an obesity and sleep link, and in most treatments of obesity, sleep is now looked at very carefully. We won't go too much into this, but sleep deprivation can lead to weight gain and indeed obesity. And what actually happens is that our ability to burn calories, especially when we're not doing very much, is affected by the quality of our sleep. So that's the root of those treatment protocols. Okay, so here we go. Things that are good and not so good for sleep. So foods that may enhance sleep go turkey, eggs, tuna, salmon, milk, yogurt, bananas, cherry oats, barley, kale, spinach, legume. I'm sure there's many more, but these are just ideas. Tryptophan is interesting. It's in turkey mostly, but it's also in eggs and salmon. And it can increase the effects. It's an antidepressant in itself, and if you're taking antidepressants, it can increase the effect of it. So avoid that says heavy rich food, sugar, and large meals late at night. Drink and sleep. So alcohol can help you get to sleep, but it's an illusion because it leads actually to disruption of the second part of sleep. So you get a fragmented REM sleep, which is essential for cognitive function and mood regulation. And even moderate alcohol, 6 hours before sleep, can cause disruption and more fatigue the next day. This increases with age as our metabolic rate decreases, alcohol stays longer in the system. And apnea, that the state where people stop breathing slightly during sleep, that can increase if you're drinking alcohol. Caffeine, people take it because it masks the side effects of the lack of sleep and it keeps you awake. It enters the bloodstream 15 minutes after drinking it, and it takes 6 hours to leave the body. So if you're going to drink caffeine and you want to keep your sleep healthy, then a good way before sleep. So like before 12 is good, some people say. So there we have a list of the milligrams of caffeine in drinks and food. Coffee is the highest. And energy drinks are pretty high. Tea is a little less, but it's still got a good whack of caffeine there. Cola, Coca-Cola. Yeah, and even decaf coffee has got a little bit, but not so much. Nicotine is a powerful stimulant and it interferes both with the falling asleep and also staying asleep. Raises the heart rate and blood pressure. And it has, although it has anxiety addressing qualities that can be deceptive, smokers and ex-smokers can lack restorative sleep. Again, sleep apnea increases and the air passages narrow. And children also can have those effects through passive smoking. What's good for you? So deep breathing, proper deep breathing into the belly can calm the nervous system. So we just take a moment to breathe into the belly. Watch the breath come in and out, normal breath. And feeling how it moves the area between the navel and the top of the pubic bone. So while you're doing that, I'll continue speaking. So the idea is that if we do that during the day as a practice, then when it comes to falling asleep, it's second nature. So all these things that we're going to look at now are best done as a practice during the day, so that it's like your toolbox is all shiny and new, ready for you to use when you need it. you wake up in the night, or if you can't fall asleep. So 10 minutes during the day of one or two techniques. Deep breathing, progressive muscular relaxation. That's where you tense parts of the body. So you tense the hands. Let's just do it on the hand. Tense the hand and then relax it. And when you relax it, it's more relaxed than it was when you started before you tensed it. And you go through the body, tensing each muscle group, the shoulders, the face, the legs, the feet, etc. There's a lot on progressive muscular relaxation online, so I haven't put a link here. The body scan, so focusing on one area of the body at a time, focusing on the right foot, the toes, the ankles, the lower leg, and so on through the body. So really putting your mind into your body. The deep breathing is probably the easiest. So diaphragmatic breathing, which is breathing into the belly. And it also strengthens the muscles. It delivers more oxygen, and it's a lymph pump. So it's already good for the immune system. So keeping a diary and having a sleep routine. So this is really important. If you do have a sleep problem, it's good to know what helps and doesn't help. And so keeping a diary perhaps for 30 days of your sleep patterns, when you fall asleep, how good is that sleep, when you wake up, if you wake up and how many times, etc. Really useful. So here's some ideas. The bedroom should be a sanctuary for sleep, so it's not a workplace. Declutter it of devices, of anything that you don't need in there, so it's clear. And simplify its content so that each morning you can put it back into its sleep state, so the psyche knows where it's coming back to. So really important. You could have soothing scents. We'll talk about aromatherapy later. And also ambient soft lights, cozy bedspreads, pastel colours, fresh flowers if you like plants, and limited electronics. Reading before bed, does that, just check out with yourself, does that help you disconnect from the day? There's a lot, again, online about blue light blocking, so living within the natural daylight rhythm might help, so that's something that you can research. Establishing an evening ritual. At the end of this, I'll show you, I have given a link to some Qigong, which you can do, and also preparing for tomorrow the night before, so that you're not worried about tomorrow. It's on paper somewhere, it's not still rolling about your head. That might help. You could also get your clothes ready and clean up the kitchen. So anything that you can do to ease your mind about the next day and bring yourself present is a good one. And having a social media cut off at perhaps 9 o'clock, depending on what your bedtime is. So a warm bath or shower, not eating or drinking too close to bedtime, and some gentle, as I said, some gentle exercise, sometimes good. Meditation, so good during the day to have a meditation practice, even if it's only 10 minutes a day. Cultivates a serene mindset. It facilitates the transition from wakefulness to sleep. So if you meditate, and you're a practice meditator during the day, you can just drift into meditation in that transition from wakefulness to sleep, and your body and mind already knows that that's where you're heading. Strongly suggest that you try that. It's a counterbalance to stress, and it unravels deep-seated burdens that may keep you awake. So when you're mindful and you're doing meditation, things bubble up. You're more aware of what might be troubling you and possible solutions. Brings you into the present, so it's an antidote to worrying about the future or the past. Lowers blood pressure, boosts self-confidence, in the sense of I can do this and I'm part of everything. There's lots of evidence that it boosts self-confidence, and it's a problem-solving tool. So hypnosis, As brain imaging has become more sophisticated, neuroscience recognizes that hypnosis can change outlook and give good results, and that a vividly visualized outcome can lead to a physical change. So what that means really is that when we visualize something going well, there's more of a chance that it'll go well. And sports science has really fed into psychology in that way, where trainers routinely train athletes and sports people to visualize success. So it wires in and connects the body-mind towards a positive outcome. So we can use that for sleep, for anything really in life. Hypnosis is similar to the trance state, so we're talking about alpha and even theta states. It's like when you watch a good movie, you put disbelief on hold when you're in a suggestible state. So we speak to the subconscious when we're in hypnosis, which stores a vast amount of information about ourselves, much more than the conscious mind. And again, good old Einstein said the imagination is more important than knowledge. That can feed ourselves information, but a lot of it isn't relevant to our personal selves. So we stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system with relaxing techniques to make our minds more conducive to suggestion. And we can embed positive messages about sleep. Carry on with hypnosis. So when you practice hypnosis methods, you enter a state of relaxation. So the Jacobson or progressive muscular relaxation can be used, or abdominal breathing. And you immerse yourself in a visual state, but you use your own sensory preferences. So, for example, if you're somebody who has strong sense of hearing, then you might imagine you're hearing rainforest sounds or even play them to yourself. You might feel, if you're kinesthetic, a gentle breeze, see a sunset. And repetition again is key. So it's crucial that these are practiced during the daytime so that when you get to sleep time, you're already well practiced. Your body knows what to do. So hypnosis alters the brain, particularly the reticular activating system, and it decreases the amount of information that can enter and increases our capability for positive suggestion. And indeed, you usually enter a trance state or have plenty of theta waves. So both hypnosis facilitated by another person and techniques employed to guide yourself are self-hypnosis, since it's the receiver's imaginative mind that puts them in a trance and opens suggestion. So it's you doing it to yourself, whether you use another person or you're doing this by yourself. Good to pay attention to language. So even an image of a rose can be interpreted as harmful if it triggers a memory. So a good hypnotherapist, if you choose to employ one, would really know something of your history, your likes, preferences, dislikes. So there would have to be a good diagnostic interview before any work was done. And again, learning styles are also discussed, visual, whether you're visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and so on, so that the recipient's world is embraced rather than the hypnotherapist is imposing something on a person. So just talking about metaphors, metaphors are very useful in accessing the unconscious and hence encouraging the brain to take on suggestion rather than information and rational thinking and overthinking. So metaphors such as comparing sleep to a gently flowing river, or the tide going out, or a bird chorus as it fades into darkness. All these are suggested images for when you fall asleep. You can use the metaphor of going down a staircase. With each step down, you become lighter, deeper. You can suggest to yourself that you will sleep well and wake refreshed. And again, good to do it during the day so you're really practiced. And you can also use this state when you are deeply in a state to see how you will be or visualize the outcome in 6 months' time or even a year, when whatever problem you're working on, in this case, good sleep, will be resolved. Suggestions that are simple are the deeper I go, the better I feel. Moment by moment, I become like a calm mountain lake. It's easy for me to relax deeply. I'm at peace, and so on. So again, I've repeated this, but it's good to set up a daily practice so it's second nature. One way to start a practice, especially when you're falling asleep, is to start with the eyes rolled up, looking at the ceiling and slightly holding them, so you strain them. So when you drop them, you usually send yourself into a light trance. So you look up at the ceiling, you hold them there until they're slightly straining and you really can't hold them up there anymore. Then you drop them. When you drop them, just experiment with it. You'll feel yourself slightly tranced. So again, there's simple phrases from your daily self-hypnosis practice that can be repeated at sleep time. So here we go into things like aromatherapy, homeopathy, and herbs. So you can access this PowerPoint whenever you like. So probably leave you to read through that if that's of interest. Homeopathy is, some people really get on with homeopathy, some people don't. It's always personal, so it's good to have a homeopath, even initially, to sort out your reasons for not sleeping, and your particular makeup, who you are. Aromatherapy, and that can be in terms of oil or a burner. And once again, you're free to log on to this PowerPoint whenever you would like. And just to mention, obviously, medication has its place, and a lot of people are on medication. And just to separate out the side effects of medication as opposed to something that's happening to you or as a result of any of the practices that we have talked about. So hand tingling, your breathing may change, sleepwalking, sleep eating, a shaking of one part of the body, blurred vision, and if you're allergic to any of the sleeping pills, nausea, short breath, vomiting, swelling, and that can become serious. So just a call to actually consult your GP if any of those things are happening. So here we go, sleep and age. Again, some details. It's good to note probably that we kind of get that children need sleep, but again, teenagers need a lot, and young adults do as well. We don't need so much when we're older adults, but it's still great for us. And napping during the day is usually a way that us older adults get round that. And here for you is a link to an evening Qigong practice called Fa Sun Gong, which is a deeply relaxing form of Qigong. Please do contact me if you are interested in doing classes, including an evening practice of deeply relaxing Qigong or retreats that we offer every month. Thank you for watching. And I wish you the best of sleeps.